Good afternoon, all. Myself Utkarsha Chaudhary with my team Shivam Modve and Nihar Pasi, studying in second year computer engineering, taking the guidance and advices of our scientific advisor, Dr. Avinash Kamre, on the topic Graph Neural Network and Effective Framework for Neural Network, with the affiliation of Pillai HOC College of Engineering and Technology in Rasayani, Maharashtra from India. Before beginning with the actual topic, let us first know what is neural network. A neural network system is a computational model that works similar to a human brain, mimicking how a biological neuron sends signal to one another. The basic unit in a neural network is a neuron which holds the information, receives any information from other neuron, and thus computes an output for further neurons. These neurons can also be represented as nodes in graphical model. These networks consist as various layers, namely hidden layer, output layer, and input layer. Network relies on training data to learn and improve the accuracy over time. There are mainly four types of neural network: artificial neural network, graph neural network, recurrent neural network, and convolutional neural network. Our main focus will be on graph neural network, which involves concepts of graph theory. Let us first introduce ourselves with some basics of graph theory. Graph theory is the study of graphs with the help of vertices, which are nodes, and edges, which are lines. Graphs are represented as G, which is equal to VE, where G is the combination of V, which represents the set of vertices in the graph, and E, which represents the set of ordered pair of vertices connected by a node. Nodes are the container which contains the information, while edges are the lines which interconnects these nodes. As nodes and edges are the main factor in this graph, let us see what are these two concepts. The elements present in the graph are called as nodes, whereas the edges are the ordered pair of connections between these nodes. Combining the graph theory with the neural network, we get a concept called as graph neural network. Graph neural network are a class of deep learning method designed to perform inference on data described by graphs. The intuition of graph neural network is that nodes are naturally defined by their neighbors and connections. To understand this, we can simply imagine that if we remove the neighbors and connections around a node, then the node will lose all its information. Therefore, neighbors of a graph or node connections to neighbors define the concept of the node. The main motto of graph neural network is to learn about the features of node and about the information in its neighboring node. Once the embedding, that is the feature, is assigned to the corresponding nodes, the edges are transformed by merging graphs and adding modified neural network layers. Now you must have got stuck with the point that why only graph neural network and not any other. Here you will get a clear picture of your question why. Just like graph neural network, there is the other type of neural network, which is convolutional neural network. Convolution of a square grid-like neighborhood around any specific node. This representation is also referred to as Euclidean space, whereas graph neural network provides flexibility to non-Euclidean representation of nodes in the graph, thus making it able to work on more generic than the fixed grid orientation used by convolutional neural network. Now again a question, what is Euclidean and non-Euclidean space? Euclidean space is formation of nodes in such a way that they are placed at equidistance from each other, forming a symmetrical pattern resulting in occupying more space. Whereas in non-Euclidean space, the nodes are not necessary to be placed in symmetrical manner or at equal distance, thus resulting in occupying less space. Each and everything existing on the earth has some or the other classification.
Recording stopped.
Graph neural network also has its own. Graph neural network can be classified into three different types: based on graph type, based on propagation type, and based on training method. Let us first see what is based on graph type, which is again subclassified in four different types: directed graph, heterogeneous graph, edge informative graph, and dynamic graph. Moving ahead with the second classification of graph neural network, which is based on propagation type, it is again subclassified in four different types: convolutional aggregator, attention aggregator, gate updater, and hierarchical graph. Third classification of graph neural network is based on training method, which is further again subclassified in 4 different types: neighborhood sampling, deceptive field control, data augmentations, and unsupervised learning. The theory of any particular topic is always incomplete without its working or mechanism process. So let's see what is graph neural network and how it works. Working is carried out in total 3 steps. First, selection of locality. Second, aggregation of information and propagation. And third, updation. So first, let's see what is selection of locality. In this process, the data of any given node from the network, only those nodes are selected which shows similarity to that of corresponding node, forming a locality around it. The graph which represents such locality of nodes is called as computational graph. Stressing over the first diagram, we can see that the red colored node and its neighboring orange nodes show similarity, which is highlighted using the graph. The next step of working is aggregation. In this mechanism, inside hidden layers, values of each node, a specific layer is merged to form a single meaningful output. This process is carried out with the help of aggregation function. Focusing on the diagram, we can see that image of numerical value 4 is represented in the form of 3 different nodes, which then got merged or aggregated to give one single meaningful output 4. Each node associates or aggregates its value with its neighboring node, regardless of whether they lie in front or behind the node in the graph. These aggregated values on each layer of the graph is further passed to next layer using propagation function, also called as message passing function. These propagation function can be expressed mathematically as shown here, where V is the output node, K is the layer of aggregation, Wi represents the weight of the ith node, Xi represents the ith node, sigma is nonlinearity coefficient, summation of Wi Xi is the aggregation of node, and B is the bias of the kth layer. During forward message passing from one layer to next, the weights of edges need to be adjusted in order to restore differences between actual outcomes and predicted outcomes. When the difference between actual outcomes and predicted outcome occurs, it gives rise to error. To remove such error, we use updating process. The updating process is carried out with the help of partial derivatives or gradients. In this process, it is carried out to minimize the error by adjusting the weights and biases. This process is done with the help of equation shown here, where W and B are chosen randomly from the network. W represents weight and B represents bias, and epsilon is called the learning rate, which is a configurable parameter. As this theory is proposed, there may be some other applications of it. So let's see what are some basic applications of graph neural network. It is used in social network field and influence predictions such as Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It is also used in computer vision, image classification, and object detection. It is used to improve travel time predictions. And also it is used in biological problems like RNA diseases. Moving ahead with the advantages of graph neural network, all the recommendations functions nowadays works on graph neural networks. It is easy to store any data with the help of graph neural network. Graph-based data is easy to handle, and graph neural network easily learns new changes brought into the network and thus provides accuracy while computing an output. Just like advantages, there are some disadvantages of graph neural network. They are as follows. The memory storage gradually increases over time. It's difficult to understand and retrace its algorithm from the outside. Graph neural networks are vulnerable to adversarial attacks. On the basis of the overall information, graph neural network can be concluded as follows. With the various other neural networks into existence, graph neural network provides a powerful and effective representation of the data. Its predictions and learning tasks provides a better understanding and up-to-date information to the user. Thank you.
Dr. Campbell has his contribution here, and I hope that he or she, sorry, is proud about your presentation today.
Sure.
Okay.
Ask a question.
Yes, please.
Could the neural network be combined with others neural networks that do different things?
Pardon?
So, Adrian, please repeat the question.
Could two different neural networks be combined to execute a specific test or a more complicated test?
No, we cannot combine any other neural network with graph neural network, as graph neural network has all over other features due to its non-Euclidean space.
Adrian, happy with the answer?
Yes.
Yes, generally when we speak about models, about network, any kind of speaking about the model, we must to think first what type of model we use, what type of neural or not neural network, because depending on the application, you can choose the direction where you take the examples you take. Maybe you will have or maybe you will have not results, but it's very difficult to say, okay, we combine to have better results. No, you must to choose one of these.